Hello, I'm Janessa. Welcome to my channel. I'm a health coach and I'm sharing my journey with essentially reversing out of a weight loss phase where I was using compounded semaglutide. I'm also focused on strength training and I follow mostly whole foods, vegan, plant-based diet, and I program all of my training for myself with the specific goal of gaining lean mass. That's it as far as where I'm at in my journey right now. And in this video, we're going to do an update on my progress. I am increasing calories again. If you've not had a chance to watch some of my other videos, you can check out the playlist on my channel where I've been documenting my journey, including my process of, as I said, reversing out of a weight loss phase so I can maintain and even grow my lean mass. I shared recently results from a DEXA scan actually showing how I've been able to put on lean mass over the last few months. So all that information is there if you're more curious about me and where I've been, what I'm doing, why I'm doing this. But we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm actually going to share my screen so you can see a table that I put together, which includes all of the data that I am personally tracking around my nutrition and my weight, so I can make informed decisions around where to take my nutrition next and why I'm still increasing calories, which is great. And just, so you know, I usually track using my own notebook and pen and paper, but I figured it'd be easier, kind of like my last video, to actually display something for you. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that now. And actually, before we get into this, I should do my usual disclaimer of what I am doing, how I am doing it, why I'm doing it is all specific to me. This is not medical advice. These are not recommendations. You'll need to go through your own process of determining what makes sense for you, what works for you based on your specific lifestyle, your health goals, any conditions you may have. If you have a medical provider, to do that with support from them. And if you are looking for other support, because I am a health coach, I do work with clients as well. So if you're curious about what that means, what the scope of that work could be, and what it would be like to work together, there's always a link in the description for my videos. You can set up a free introductory call and we can see if it's a good fit. Okay, now let's get to the data. Here's the table of information that I am tracking for myself as part of my process evaluating how I'm progressing. This is a very simple table. I am not interested in, building out spreadsheets upon spreadsheets in order to track this. When I competed in Olympic weightlifting, a weight class sport, and when I did bodybuilding and did a competition, I was so honed in on all the details, just in the weeds. And honestly, that's in my past. What I'm doing now is for my health, for my longevity, for feeling good in my body, and also training and eating in a way that's going to help me shape an aesthetic that I really want. That's not based on the demands of a sport and just trying to be as competitive in that sport as possible, and definitely not on a division expectation or standard like in the world of bodybuilding. This is for me this time, and that feels really, really great. And I am going to try to keep this a little quicker. I know in the past I've done longer videos. We'll see how quickly we can get through this. Just as a little recap, I've built out the information here more extensively. And like I said, this is what I track in my notebook. I do have a little bit more information I'm actually putting in my notebook. I could do a separate video if you're curious about, for example, what my training split looks like, because I am programming that for myself. It's a bodybuilding style training program. So that's not pictured here, but that's also something else that I include in my notebook. And I bring my notebook to the gym with me. Let me know, drop a comment below if you're one of those people who's like handwriting out still your reps and your sets and your weights and all of that in the middle of the gym. As far as tracking, you may already know this because you probably have seen other videos, but I'm also using Chronometer, specifically a mobile app on my phone, so I can track all of my information day to day around what I'm eating. So I am weighing things out. I am being specific in that regard, so I can pay attention to overall calories and then also macro breakdown. So this is what I've got here. I did take this back a little ways because I know I've talked about this in other videos, but I didn't include it in the last table I prepared for you. Just so you know, when I started compounded semaglutide on some day in late June, I think I want to say it was like June 29th. So this weight was before I started the compounded semaglutide. It was actually the weight or how much I weighed when I got my prescription prescription from my provider. So June 19th, 2024, I was 141 pounds. That's not an average. That was a specific weight actually tracked on a specific day. For context, I am 5 feet tall. So that's a significant amount of weight, in my opinion, for a woman of my stature. Definitely above and beyond what I'm comfortable with. And I think at my heaviest, I've mentioned this before, at some point in my journey, I was close to 155, 160 pounds. So technically obese. So that's another part of my journey and context that I think's important to know, right? Like my body has changed a lot. I've been in cycles of yo-yo dieting basically for most of my life. So this period of time, this transformation I'm moving through feels so significant and so empowering because this is when I'm breaking that cycle. Like that is the intention I've set for myself. That is my goal to, with the help, of course, of compounded semaglutide, but now getting off of compounded semaglutide, just maintain. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am to just pretty much stay the same. Yes, maybe add on a little bit of lean mass over the course of months and months and years, just because I enjoy strength training. It's good for longevity purposes. But I'm no longer in that phase of, trying to lose as much weight as I can or be as lean as I can. And then the pendulum swinging back and the binging and the overeating. So this is the end of that. That is what I'm speaking into existence and why I'm also inviting you on this journey with me. So for context, 141 back in June of 2024, I started compounded semaglutide. And then I hit my goal weight around end of February 25th. Again, this 114 here was not an average. That's a weight on a specific day. And then I went through this process of starting to come down off of my medication. And then September, I really locked in and was focusing on taking daily weights, which works for me. It may not work for you. For me, it works for me because it actually helps me not get so concerned about daily fluctuations. It normalizes them for me. And then I use an average from that week to kind of see where I'm at, which is also helpful because I'm a menstruating female. So for me, I do see an uptick in my weight during the second half of my cycle. That is very consistent. I increase like a couple of pounds, maybe even up to 3 pounds or so. And then usually once my once my bleed is done, then my weight comes back down. So that is a big consideration for people who are menstruating to keep that in mind. So 114, that was kind of my goal weight. That was my weight I hit back in February. I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's come down off the medication. So fast forward September, this is again a range. I wasn't doing specific daily weights then, but kind of had an idea of I was in that 112 to 114 range in that week, mid-September. And then I started from September 14th onward tracking these average weights. So you'll see here, basically, since mid-September, it's now almost the end of November. I'm recording this on Tuesday, November 25th, which is why this week hasn't been filled in yet. I've essentially maintained my weight and maintained a weight that's below the goal weight, I guess you could say, or the end weight that I reached at the peak of my medication in February of this year. So I still feel like I have room in a sense to kind of grow into that, and prioritizing strength training, putting on lean mass, which my DEXA scan results did show. So all that's really good. So now I'm kind of in this place where I'm cruising, right? I'm cruising. I have my cardio locked in. I do daily cardio, 35 to 40 minutes incline treadmill walking. I do that for my mental health benefits. I also work a sedentary job. I'm either on calls on Zoom with clients, or I'm recording things like this for you. And I have my whole other YouTube channel that I record extensively for, Astrology with Janessa. Check it out if you're interested in astrology. That's taken off. So I'm either with clients recording, or I'm like editing, sitting. All of it is just sitting. And yes, I do take my dog on walks and that helps, but that's specifically why I've kept in that morning cardio very consistent every day. I only take a break if I'm like traveling. Like this week for the holiday, I'm going to take 3 days off and not worry about it. I was doing 3 times a week strength training. Now I'm more consistently doing it 4 times a week, but just shorter workouts with less volume. So trying to keep that intensity and volume as consistent as possible to spread it out over more days, which I've been enjoying. So really what I mean by cruising right now is I'm just very, very slowly, intentionally increasing my calories. And I'm increasing them again because you'll see here, I've been able to maintain my weight while slowly increasing my calories, starting in the high 1800s, then up to the 1900s. Then I went past 2000 and very recently broke into the 2100s as far as my average calories. This is an average for a week at a time. So taking the calories for 7 days, adding them up, divide them by 7, get the average. Now, the reason why I'm also tracking total calories, this is something new that I've implemented because I recognize that an average, even though I'm very consistent day to day, I still want to make sure that the total for the week is still trending up, because some weeks, if there's variation, the average may not capture that. That's just how math works, right? So this total calories has been really helpful. You'll see that I started tracking that back end of September. I was just lazy to go back further than that, but you'll see total calories too increasing, just over 13,000, then up to 13,800, had a little dip there, which is why, again, I wanted to track total calories, because I don't want to go back down. I'm trying to increase my caloric capacity while not force feeding myself. And the reason why I want to increase my caloric capacity is because I want to be able to, on a holiday like we have one this week, relax around food. And if I have an increased caloric capacity, and it just makes it so much easier to be flexible. On a holiday, I can, for myself, discern based on how I'm feeling, well, maybe I just do a little lighter first meal and second meal, so then I can have, a slice of pie or whatever it is, and not have that totally take me off track. I think one of the most challenging things that I've encountered when I've been in more of a restricted place with calories is it makes it really hard to be social around food. It makes it hard on holidays. It makes it hard to go out for brunch or just go have a, latte with some of the actual sugar in it. Like, these are the little things that I don't do often, but when I am able to do them intentionally, and for me, find value in connecting with people through food, through experiences going out, like that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. And also it's been very helpful as I've been coming off of my medication, which I'm still on, I'm back down to, and now just cruising at my starting dose that I initially started back in, June of 2024. The food noise has been coming back. Hunger has been coming back. I expected all of that. And it's been so helpful to reverse essentially out of this deficit I've been in and increasing food while that has been going on, because that's also helping me with satiety, being able to eat more. And because I focus on whole foods, it's high fiber foods, high volume foods. I do a lot with vegetables, but specifically also like grains and potatoes. And that has been very, very helpful. And you'll see here that I've thrown in protein too, just because it does relate to my goal of putting on lean mass. Now, this is for me. I'm speaking for me. This may not be relevant for you and your body and what you need, but I have found for myself that I actually really appreciate being on a little bit more to a low to moderate low protein amount. Keep in mind these grams here, those are ish around how much lean mass I have, according to DEXA. So that does align with one of the recommendations out there for protein, to get 1 gram of protein a day per pound of lean mass. Not total body weight, but lean mass. And there is some research supporting that. Again, you may need something different, Joe Schmo down the street might need something else, but I actually feel really good when I'm more around there versus when I was doing Olympic weightlifting or when I was doing bodybuilding, like these different phases of time where I tried to have a higher protein diet, mostly because that's what I thought I should do. That's what I thought I had to do to put on lean mass. And I've actually found over the course of the last, 8 months or so, that this amount of protein is actually very sufficient for me to put on lean mass, because over the course of the last few months, I've put on pounds of lean mass according to DEXA scans. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just tracking that too, just to try to keep an eye on it. You'll notice here I traveled one of these weeks, so I don't have all the data for that. That'll be similar this week. since I'm basically not going to track on Thursday, Friday, well, actually Wednesday, travel day, I'm probably not going to track. So tomorrow, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, most likely I'll take 4 days off of tracking any food. I'll track my weight tomorrow morning before I travel, but I'll take a few days off of tracking that too. So anyway, this data here for this week will be pretty sparse, kind of like this other travel week. And that's okay, because when I come back from the Thanksgiving holiday, Thanksgiving travel, I'll just get right back on my plan. And right now, I didn't put this in, but right now, last week I was hitting around 2,114 calories, give or take, up to almost 15,000 total calories. My goal now this week, except for the holiday travel stuff, has been to hit closer to 2,150 calories because, like I said, my weight's not budging. So if I can continue to slowly increase calories and maintain my weight, maintain my body composition, maybe even continue slowly putting on some lean mass, I'd be so happy about that. So long story short, I'm increasing calories again. You can see the data here and how I'm using that to inform that decision. When I come back from the holiday, I'll probably just for at least a week try to hit that 2,150 calories every day. And then from there, if I continue to maintain my weight, I'll probably bump that up again. The only thing is at some point I'm going to hit a ceiling, right? At some point, I imagine if I continue to increase my calories and reverse out of this and maintain my composition, there's going to be a limit at some point where I would have to start potentially overfeeding myself a little bit. I'm not there right now. My meals are very manageable. I feel very full. I feel comfortable though. It doesn't feel like I'm overdoing it. And I'm not interested in pushing it beyond. This is what's different for me right now as far as reversing out of this weight loss phase versus what is sometimes recommended in more the bodybuilding space, which is at some point you need to get into not only a surplus, but really push into that surplus. That's one perspective, but that's not the strategy I'm going to be adopting for myself. Because again, I want the way that I train, I want the way that I eat, I want my lifestyle to really align closely with my values for myself, for health, for longevity, all the things. So I hope this was helpful. It gives you, a little insight into what I'm doing, how I'm making these decisions. I'll keep you updated. I'm still not off of my medication entirely. I'm guessing, I would say February or so, in a few months. At least my current plan is to totally come off the compounded semaglutide. And to me, that's going to be really interesting because then it will have been a full year since I started coming down off the medication. I will have spent, if I execute that plan, a full year titrating down, reversing out of this weight loss phase, going the slowest I've ever gone with this kind of process. But my goal, my intention is that by going slowly, by titrating it, by just making these small changes over time, that is going to create a very sustainable result for me. And I'll keep you updated. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to connecting again soon.